Did it ever happen where game difficulty made you throw your controller off or just wanted to punch the screen so hard? Hey everyone, it's Gamma K and today we're diving into the world of gaming. We're talking about the hardest games of all time. First off at number 10, Getting Over It. This is the game that makes you want to throw your controller across the room. You're stuck in a giant pot trying to climb a mountain with just a sledgehammer. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. Getting Over It is a frustrating, addictive, and surprisingly good game. You'll find yourself swinging back and forth, trying to find the perfect angle to ascend. But every time you think you're making progress, bam, you're back at the bottom. It's like a never-ending cycle of triumph and despair. But here's the thing, it's addictive. You keep coming back, even though you know it's going to frustrate you. It's like a bad relationship that you can't. Philosophical quotes and commentary, which can be both insightful and annoying. Sometimes you'll find yourself nodding along, thinking, wow, this is deep. Other times you'll just want to mute the sound. Getting Over It is a game that will push you to your limits. It's a test of patience, perseverance, and a little bit of masochism. But if you can handle the frustration, you'll find a rewarding and thought-provoking experience. Just be prepared to throw your controller a few times. Remember Flappy Bird? That little game where you tap to keep a tiny bird from crashing into pipes? It was a huge deal a few years back, driving people nuts with its addictive simplicity. The goal was super easy, just tap to flap and avoid the pipes. But man, it was harder than it looked. It was like Angry Birds and Mario World had a baby. With its cute graphics and challenging gameplay, you could spend hours trying to beat your high score, but it was so frustrating. One minute you'd be soaring high and the next you'd be plummeting to your doom. It was like a roller coaster of emotions. The creator, Dong Nguyen, revealed that he had no time and money to keep players engaged with the game updates and features, so he made game harder. And man, it worked on his favor. He eventually removed the game from app stores because of all the attention it got. But even though it's gone, Flappy Bird will always be remembered as one of the most frustrating and addictive games ever made. You might heard of Spelunky II, and let me tell you, it's brutal. I mean, I'm pretty good at platformers. My YouTube channel did grow on platformers games, but this thing is a whole different level. I've been stuck on the first few levels for days. It's like the game is designed to make you rage quit. You play as this explorer guy who goes to the moon to explore these underground caves. It's pretty cool, but the gameplay is super challenging. I keep dying in the dumbest ways. There are these moles that pop up out of nowhere and kill you, and I keep falling into these traps I didn't see. It's frustrating, but also kind of addictive. I think what I like about it is that every time you play, the levels are different, so you never know what to expect. And even though it's hard, it's really satisfying when you finally beat a level. If you're looking for a challenge and you don't mind getting your butt kicked, then Spelunky II is worth checking out. At number 7, Ninja Gaiden isn't just difficult, it's a chaotic masterpiece of combat. It's not about complicated mechanics, but about the sheer number of simple elements that come together to create a whirlwind of challenge. The enemies in Ninja Gaiden are like a well-orchestrated symphony of chaos. Individually, they're manageable, but when they work together, they become a force to be reckoned with. One might distract you with ranged attacks while another tries to sneak up for a grab. It's a constant balancing act of dodging, blocking, and attacking. And then there's the element of randomness. Enemies can dodge or block unexpectedly, keeping you on your toes and preventing you from relying on predictable patterns. It forces you to think quickly and adapt to the ever-changing situation. Every decision you make in Ninja Gaiden has consequences. Do you risk a risky attack for a potential reward? Or do you play it safe and focus on survival? The choices are endless and the stakes are high. It's no wonder that Ninja Gaiden's highest difficulty setting is considered a legendary challenge. It's a game that rewards skill, patience, and quick thinking. It's not just a game, it's a masterclass in chaotic combat. Remember old days when Super Mario Bros. Seemed tough? Well, Lost Levels is a whole different beast. It's like the game's designers decided to ramp up the difficulty to 11 and it feels like they are just trying to be mean. There are traps everywhere, hidden blocks, poisonous mushrooms, and unfair jumps that seem impossible to land. It's basically like Mario 1, but way harder. Levels are longer, the paths are trickier, and even the pipes can lead you sometimes backwards. It's like the game is out to get you. Lost Levels just feels like a constant struggle. I had to look up videos just to figure out how to beat some levels. It was like the game was actively trying to frustrate me. Thankfully, the Switch version has a save and rewind feature, which was a lifesaver. After a while, it started to feel repetitive and just not fun. The game kept throwing the same challenges at me, just with different skins. It was like a never-ending cycle of frustration and disappointment. If you're looking for a chill Mario experience, this one might not be for you. But if you enjoy a challenge and don't mind a bit of frustration, Lost Levels might be right up your alley. Halfway our list is Cuphead. I will one word describe it as brutal. I mean, there are other games which are well known harder, but even in those games you get stronger by grinding. You earn souls, you spend them to level up and get stronger, but in Cuphead you're basically just buying power-ups with coins you earn from insanely difficult platforming levels. There is no getting stronger, you just get better at skill level, that's it. It's like Mario on crack, but without checkpoints. It's a constant struggle to even stay alive, and even with power-ups, it feels like you're barely scraping by. Enough with the criticism, this game is so satisfactory and I love it. I always wanted to get back to the game with new excitement. And the sense of accomplishment after finally finishing that level where I died over and over is unmatched. And eventually we get hang of the game, the skills get better, the dodge, the parry and the navigation, the game feels more satisfactory. Don't get me wrong, it's a great game, but it's definitely not for the faint of heart. If you're into challenging platformers with a retro art style, give it a shot. But be prepared for a lot of frustration and maybe a few controller throwing moments. So, you know those super tough games where you die a million times but keep coming back for more? Yeah, that's Elden Ring. I know many of you saw it coming. I mean, it's hardest games list and it's incomplete without Souls games. It's like a fantasy world gone wild with glowing trees, creepy monsters, and birds that throw knives at you. It's made by the same people who did Dark Souls, so you expect it to be challenging. But don't worry, it's not all pain and suffering. There are some cool new things that make it a bit easier to get into. You can fast travel, explore at your own pace, and even level up a bit before tackling the really tough stuff. Still, don't expect a walk in the park. You'll die a lot, like a lot. Bosses will kick your butt, traps will get you, and you'll probably lose count of how many times you've fallen off a cliff. But that's kind of the point. The thing is, it's actually really satisfying when you finally beat a tough boss or figure out a tricky puzzle. It's like a reward for all the hard work. And the world itself is so cool and mysterious that you just want to keep exploring. So if you're ready for a challenge and love a good story, give Elden Ring a try. Just be prepared for a wild ride. Let me tell you, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is a game that's both incredible and infuriating all at once. First off, the world is absolutely stunning. It's a feudal Japan filled with towering castles, serene temples, and hidden paths. The attention to detail is incredible, and every corner is filled with secrets waiting to be discovered. The combat is where Sekiro really shines. It's a fast-paced, high-stakes affair that requires precision and timing. You're not just blocking and attacking, you're deflecting blows, parrying and counter-attacking. It's a dance of death that can be incredibly satisfying when you pull it off. But let's be real, it's also incredibly frustrating. The game is brutally difficult. Every enemy is a threat, and even the smallest mistake can lead to death. There are no easy modes, no shortcuts, and no hand-holding. You're on your own, and it's a harsh mistress. The bosses are especially challenging. They're not just powerful, they're also incredibly smart. They'll adapt to your playstyle and find new ways to punish you. It's like facing off against a human opponent, not just a computer-controlled monster. But even though it's frustrating, it's also incredibly rewarding. When you finally defeat a tough boss or master a difficult section of the game, it feels like you've accomplished something truly special. And it's a sense of achievement that's hard to come by in other games. If you're a fan of challenging games and love a good story, Sekiro is definitely worth checking out. Just be prepared for a lot of death and a whole lot of frustration, but trust me, the rewards are worth it. Another Souls games, it had to be, of course, and it's Dark Souls. If you're looking for a game that will test your limits and push you to your breaking point, Dark Souls is it. This brutal, unforgiving RPG is not for the faint of heart. It's designed to separate the wheat from the chaff, the gamers from the casuals. From the very beginning, Dark Souls throws you into the deep end. The enemies are relentless, the bosses are brutal, and the world is unforgiving. Every mistake is punished, and every death sets you back. I mean, way back, that's one reason I am putting it above Sekiro, just because how far away the bonfires are. But to be fair, Dark Souls is supposed to be slow and methodical game where you slow down, think and plan your moves, whereas Elden Ring and Sekiro are more fast-paced. Again, it's a game that will test your patience, your skill, and your determination. You'll need to learn from your mistakes, adapt to new situations, and never give up. It's a game that will challenge you in ways you never thought possible. But that's what makes Dark Souls so addictive. The challenge is immense, but the rewards are even greater. When you finally overcome a difficult boss or reach a new area, the sense of accomplishment is incredible. The rewards are worth it. Dark Souls is a masterpiece of game design with a rich and immersive world, a compelling story, and unforgettable characters. It's a game that will stay with you long after you've finished it. If you're looking for a true gaming challenge, Dark Souls is the perfect game for you. Just be prepared for a lot of frustration, a lot of fierce, and a lot of deaths, and a lot of fun. Now, the hardest game of all time, and it's not a Souls game. Super Meat Boy is one of those games that's super frustrating but super addicting. You play as a little piece of meat trying to save your girlfriend from an evil doctor. It's a platformer, but it's hard, really hard. You'll probably die a million times before you beat it, but that's half the fun. The game is pretty simple to learn, but the levels are full of tricky obstacles. You'll have to jump, run, and wall jump your way through spikes, lava, and all sorts of other nasty stuff. It's like a puzzle, but with more dying. This game needs patience. I mean, a lot of patience. For a gamer like me who likes things to be done and fast, I personally got a bit tired of dying after a while, but if you're into that kind of challenge, this game is perfect. There are lots of cool characters to unlock and hidden levels to find, and the boss battles are tough, but they're also really satisfying when you finally beat them. Overall, Super Meat Boy is a great game. I will definitely recommend everyone to at least try this game once. This game makes more patient and it's really fun, believe me. And if you like a challenge and don't mind a little frustration, it's definitely worth a try. Well, there you have it, folks. The top 10 hardest games of all time. Did any of these make you break a controller or maybe even scream at your screen? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, if you ever find yourself struggling with a game, just remember you're not alone. We're all in this together. Until next time, happy gaming.